Hi, hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new or not subscribe my channel, please subscribe to my channel, like and share with your friends. So in the last video, we have created APIs related to the members, and we in the member service we have created the APIs create or update member, get all member, get member by ID, delete member. In this video, we are going to create a issue class. In issue class, we have attribute like issue ID, book ID, member ID, issue date, due date, return date, fine amount. Here we in this issue service we are going to create issue the books, return the books and other kind of APIs, and we will maintain the data for books and member and issue ID. And the second class we have fine ID and we have member ID, fine amount, fine date and fine paid. In this class we are going to maintain the fines related data. So first we are going to create the class, and here we also define the cardinality relationship between the issue and book ID. A book ID and member ID is a foreign key, and it will be many to one because we can many issue can belong to the same book, or a book can be issued multiple times. And here the cardinality relationship between the issue and the member ID, many issue belong to the same member. A member can issue multiple books, so that's why it is many to one. And the fine class also we also define the cardinality. A member, a particular member has so many fines, so many fine. So the cardinality between fine to member is many to one. First, we are going to create a class. Uh, Class name will be show, and then we are going to give the uh, issue ID, private long issue ID, and it will be as a primary key. It will be the ID and generated strategy equal to generate relation type dot identity, and then we have a private long private book books, and then we have private member member. So here we are going to define the cardinality. It will be many to one, and here also it is many to one. And then we have attribute private local date issue date, and then we have private local date due date, and then private local date as a data type and a return date, and then we have private double fine amount. So these are the attributes we have, and we are going to create the getter and setter for this all the attributes. Getter and setters. Just click on right on generate button, getter and setter. So since the getter and setters are created, and we are going to give the annotation attribute entity. This class will be mapped to the database, and we are going to create a other class known as file. First, before I need to create the repository for the issue, issue repository, and it will extend JPA repository and will pass issue class and data type as a primary key as a long to give the annotation as a upgrade repository. Okay. In the find class, we have the first private long find ID, and it is a primary key, and then we are going to give the annotation with ID and generation generated value strategy generation type dot identity, and then we have private member number, and we are going to give the priorities many to one, and then we have private double amount, and then we have private local dot find it, and then we have private boolean find paid or not. So this will be maintained as it is. If it's a find paid, then it will be true, otherwise it will be false. And then here we need to create the getter and setter. Getter and setters. Click on the generate button and select getter and setter. This way we created the getter and setter, and we are going to give the annotation upgrade entity so that we can map this class to the database. And now we are going to create a member find repository. It will extend JPA repository, and here we give the find class and the data type of find ID as a long, and we'll give the annotation upgrade repository. So here we are going to create a issue service first, and we'll give the annotation upgrade service, and we are going to create a issue controller, and here we are going to give the annotation repository REST controller and request mapping, and giving the URL API slash issue, and we are going to create our first API. First will be the issue book, and before that I need a depend bean of issue service. Then we are going to inject the bean first using the auto wire, iterate auto wire, private issue service, issue service, and then we are going to create our first API called issue book. So here our issue a new book, host mapping, and giving a URL as a new book, and public JSON log issue new book. And here we are passing the request body, and here we are just taking a map. In map we have key value pair, string, and we have data, and then we are going to extract the data from the map. Then long book ID, lines of stars, and then data dot get books ID, we have books ID, correct? We have book ID, stars long, and then we are going to extract long member ID, data dot get member ID, and we have to pass this data long and then we are going to extract local date, issue date, data dot get issue date, and then finally we are going to parse this into local date, local date dot parse local date due date, data dot get due date, local date dot parse, and here so all the required data we extract from the map, and then we are going to pass this data in is return issue service dot issue book, and we'll pass this data in this. We have book ID, member ID, issue date, and due date. And since this method is not available in SQL service, first we are going to create this method, and now it is created. And here we also need a dependency of issue repository. So first we are going to inject the dependency using the auto add target issue repository, and here we also need a mapper class so that we can convert the JSON to Java object and Java to JSON when we are getting a request. And in the request and response. Then final private object mapper, new object mapper. And then we are going to just first we are going to validate this object map, object node, object mapper, not create object mapper, object node. And then we are going to first check using the optional class. This book ID is uh, exist in our database or not. Using this, and here we need the repository of the top wire private books repository, books repository, books repository dot find by ID. I just pass the books ID. It will check this books ID is available, it is valid or not. If it is not valid, then we are going to return the response. If bits optional dot is empty, then we are going to return the response. Response dot put status will be error, and we are going to response dot put message will be invalid book. And then finally we are going to return the response. And same we are doing for the member as well. We are going to validate this member ID is exist in our database or not. Using the optional class optional member, optional member of members repository dependency of our private member repository, member repository, member repository dot find by ID. I just pass the member ID. It will check if empty, then we are going to return the response in the same way. Just like we return the response in the book invalid member. And then finally we are going to get the data book books optional dot get and member 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 optional member dot get. And then we are going to check the copies is available or not. And then we are going to also check if it is the all valid. Then we are going to check if books dot get available copies. We are also going to see how many copies are present in our database. If it is more than 0, if it is the less than 0, then we are going to return the response as an error. Response dot Status will be error, and the message books is not available. Book is not available, and return the response. And then all the validation we have checked are related to the member and books. And then finally we are going to save the data. Then we are going to create a issue equal to new issue, and then we are going to set the data issue dot set books should dot set member should dot set issue date, then issue dot set due date, then due date, and issue dot set file. We are going to save file as a normal. We're just considering as a default value 0.00. Then we have set all the attributes, and finally we are going to save the data in our database. See repository dot save, and then we are going to return the response. Here we are going to return the response, and here one more thing, because if it is we are going to decrease the count, decrease the count of books available books available copies in book database DB. And here books set available copies, and first we are getting a books dot get copy, and here we are just subtracting -1. For example, all if I have 5 copies, one book, if I issue some number, then it will be 5 minus 1, it will be 4. And then we are going to save this data. Books repository dot save, and books. And then finally this one completed, then we are going to return the response. Here response dot get first will be success, and response dot get message which issued successfully, and then response dot put issue ID will be issue dot get issue ID, and then member ID, and here we have our member ID, and we have book ID, and this one would be our member ID, and here will be book ID. And finally, we are going to return the response. Return response. So finally, this one is completed, and then we are going to restart, run our application, and then we are going to test it to Postman. It is taking some time to restart. It is still starting. And now the Tomcat is started on port 8080, and then we are going to uh, we are going to place with Postman, and here it is a post, and then we have local host 8080 API, and it is this thing, and URL would be API slash issue slash new book, and then uh, here we need a book ID, and here we need member ID, and issue date 2025 1101, and due date 2025 11 10. I think, and book ID. So we have book ID 1 and member ID 1. Now we are going to hit the upload first. Yes, finally, book issued successfully, and then we are going to check in our database. Before that, this book ID 1, we have 5 copies. We are going to refresh this, and yes, available copies it is now 4. And we are going to test the member library. We have data related to the issue. Yes, data is inserted on the database, and now we are going to book ID 1, and then I'm going to for member ID 2. Yes, yes, and we are going to check on the books, the book ID 1 available copies 4, and now we are going to refresh data. Initially, we have 5 copies available in our in library, and we have 2 issue now available copies is 3 only. So that this API is working fine. And now we are going to create one more API related to the get all book. Here we are using the get mapping slash get on issue public JSON node get on issue books. And here we're just simply calling return issue service dot get all issue books. And we are going to create first this method in issue service first, and then object node response object method dot create object node, and using the list and issue list and just issue repository dot find all. And first we are checking if it is empty, then we are going to return a error response dot with status will be error, and response dot with no issue found. And then finally we are going to return the response. And in case of it is available, then we are going to return the return object method dot to value and just passing this issue list. I think value retrieved. Yes. So now we are going to test this API as query rest. And now I'm going to rerun our application. Yeah, it is taking some time to start the server, and the URL will be issue get on issue. So now Tomcat is started on 8080, and here we have get API slash this, and just copy this and just posting here localhost 8080 API slash issue slash get on issue. So now I'm going to hit this API and internals error http slash colon slash localhost 8080 API slash issue slash get and Java 8 date and time localhost not supported by Jackson data type. Okay. There is a problem when Jackson library converting to data, and here we are going to create the manually, and here we need to change issue service value to 3. Here is the problem because we have saved the data in a local date, and there is a problem to converting this. Then we are going to convert this uh, array node, array node object method dot create array node, and then now for issue list object node obj object method dot create object node, and here we have object dot with issue id dot get issue id, and then object dot with member id. We have member id issue dot get member id dot get member dot get member id, and then we have object obj dot put book id issue dot get bits dot get book ids, and then we have what are the other attributes we have in issue, which issue date, due date, and return date, and find amount. Obj dot get issue date issue dot get issue date. We have to convert this in the local string dot value of, and then obj dot put due date issue dot get due date, string dot value of obj dot put return date, string dot value issue dot get return date, and finally find amount. Obj dot put find amount issue dot get find amount. Mm, mm, mhm, mhm. And finally, we're going to put this obj in array node dot wait obj, and finally, we're going to return the response dot with response. So finally it is done, and now I'm going to restart once again, and then we are going to test this API. It is taking some time to restart. So finally the Tomcat started on port 8080, and now we are going to read this API. Yes, so this way we got the data. Yes, so this API is working fine, and we are in the next video we are going to create the remaining APIs. And thank you for watching. If you didn't subscribe it, the channel, please subscribe, like, and share. Thank you so much for watching.